What's up, people? And today I'm going to do a religion video, and I've not done them for a while. And today it's about the article by Mark Hill on the website crack.com about 5 ways atheists argue their cause that aren't helping. Now, you may have seen this from The Amazing Atheist, and I thought I'd wade in and give my fair share. So, let's get stuck into it then. And Mark Hill, I've never heard of him. I don't read crack.com. So as far as I'm aware, this guy is just a hack from, the video that I saw. But let's give this guy a chance. And he starts with, like many writers, I measure success by the amount of hate mail I receive. I was wondering how I could get more when I realised I've never written about religion. Unfortunately, Crack rejected my premise of 5 funny drawings I did of the Prophet Muhammad's butt, and then also a bunch of reasons Jews should suck it up already, so I put some actual thought into the subject. My mind went to atheism, and the fact it's developed a bit of a bad rap. You see, you joke that you got those rejected, yet you've only gone and done yourself a shit article about atheism, but, let's give you a chance. And also, since when has atheism got a bad rap? The only places we have a bad rap in is with overzealous religious people who do nothing but badmouth us because they know that our logic and reason trumps their faith and fairy tales. But, we'll give you a fair shot at this, Mark Hill. I mean, I don't know what you are. Are you religious? Are you an atheist as well? Are you an agnostic? Who are you? You've not really said what you are. Life is ultimately meaningless. Make your peace with oblivion is a hard sell. That's a straw man. Nobody ever said that. I've not heard of a single atheist say life is meaningless unless they're depressed or a nihilist. And trust me, not all nihilists are atheists, and not all people who have said life is meaningless are atheists. But, carry on. But we're getting flack, not for our beliefs, but for the way we present them. So he is an atheist. How has an atheist written this shit so far? This is already going down in my estimates. One would think that he's not an atheist. And that's no good. If we want to convert more people to the joys of making existential dread with smug superiority, I don't want to oversell myself. But I think that over the next few pages, we're going to solve this problem forever. Nobody is selling existential dread. Nobody's trying to convert people to atheism. It's not a religion, you fucking idiot. Already you see problems with this. Number 5, this is his reason for why atheism is somehow hurting itself. The closest atheism has to leaders are terrible people. Okay, and you know these people how? But of course, he starts with the most obvious example, and that is, once upon a time, Richard Dawkins was the closest thing the world had to a pope of atheism. They didn't get together and elect him in a shadowy meeting. The media just happened to latch onto him because he talked about it a lot. No one had any objections, because we should have a representative and he seemed like a good choice as any. But then, slowly but surely, he revealed himself to be an arsehole. And how has he shown himself to be an arsehole? How do you know him so well that you think he's an arsehole? And also, he's nowhere near as close to being a pope of an atheism. What about Hitchens? What about Harris? Lawrence Krauss? They're all as equally influential as he is. Don't forget Sagan as well. He sneers down on anyone who disagrees with him with such disdain that Professor Snape would be put off. No, he doesn't. He sneers at He sneers at people being illogical and being irrational and tricking people into believing religion. He doesn't berate them and sneer at them because they hold these beliefs. He's never ever done that. I've never seen him do that. He's gone on Bill O'Reilly and treated him as an equal, whereas Bill O'Reilly hasn't. You're wrong there, and it's full of stupid things that he's never done. Another straw man. He's repeatedly gone out of his way to insult and trivialise sexual harassment. No, he hasn't. He hasn't at all. No, he hasn't. That's bullshit, and you know it. And he went off on that weird tangent about watching dogs have oral sex. Again, you're just making shit up. Dawkins is the JD to atheism's Veronica. At first we thought he was the cool, rebellious outsider, but once we got to know him, he realised he was legitimately crazy. No, he wasn't. Only in your social justice warrior head is he legitimately crazy. No, the only person that is crazy here is you. You call yourself an atheist, yet you seem to be belittling us and bad-mouthing us at every turn. I think you need to check your atheism card, mate. Who does that leave? Christopher Hitchens was a prominent critic of religion. He was also a bombastic bully, better at any delivering witty zingers than compelling arguments. Well, that's just a whole lot of bullshit. Have you ever seen him debate? Yes, part of his debating style was humorous zingers, but he also had a massive, brilliant argument to back that up. That was the whole point. That was to get his argument across. It was not ad hominems like you seem to be suggesting it is. I suggest you watch his videos, because it's clear you have never ever watched a video of Christopher Hitchens in your life. Stephen Hawking, he's too busy inventing black holes. No one's inventing black holes. The ignorance is just oozing out of this fucking horrible piece of shit of an article. James L. Grant, nope, because I just made that name up. Is this what you have to do in order to show that the atheist community is hurting itself by making shit up? Is that the best you've got? Because not only have you just completely mischaracterised Hitchens and Dawkins and what they do, also Stephen Hawking, he's not inventing black holes. They're trying to learn more about particles, you idiot. Now that we have this newfangled internet thing, everyday people are emerging as voices in atheism. YouTube keeps suggesting that I watch videos by The Amazing Atheist, and this is why The Amazing Atheist, apart from the rest of the crap, has a problem, because he's singling him out for one reason only. Possibly because it's worried by how many hours I've watched other people play video games. It all seems to be like generalisations upon generalisations. Don't worry, it gets worse. If you have literally anything better to do than watch that video, he answers 22 creationists, with all the smug condescension of a teenager who just discovered what communism is and won't shut up about how it's perfect in theory. You know what's weird? I get the horrible feeling that the only person being a smug, condescending prick is you. That's what I'm getting off you. The Amazing Atheist isn't the one calling Richard Dawkins an arsehole and saying that he trivialises sexual assault where he clearly doesn't. In another video, he uses the same haughty tone to defend himself from accusations of having toxic attitudes towards women while doing impressions of them that sound like he plugged his nose and took a hit of helium. You do realise that's studio trickery, right? And it's an impression, and it's a joke, and that's pretty much how they speak anyway. But you see, this is just an SJW trying to attack his critics. And it's funny, when people say that this ideology in feminism is a religion, they're not half wrong. Faitheists. This is a classic faithist, people. Yes, I get that being a jerk is his shtick, but his videos have hundreds of thousands of views. Dawkins is the God Delusion and sold over 2 million copies, and this attitude is infectious. So, you do realise that The Amazing Atheist puts on a persona, and that Dawkins is not an arsehole, he's just rational and doesn't take shit. Reddit's atheism board and its 2 million members became such an infamous cesspool that Reddit removed it from its list of default subscriptions. And that's because Reddit is against freedom of speech nowadays, not because the atheism board is an infamous cesspit. In fact, when I went there and posted a video there once, I got nothing but respect. Though they did question why I was talking about Jenny McDermott, but they were nonetheless supportive. That's not my experience. They're nowhere near as bad as NeoGAF. Do you know what it takes to get censured by Reddit? By not towing the party line and disliking Chairman Powell? That's like having a local rapist call you a pervert. Projection. I'm sure many of you can name atheists who express their arguments rationally and politely, but as a casual fan of intense religious discussions, I can only recall the prominent people, because that's all you know. You only know the mainstream, and then again, you've barely seen any of them, yet have formed these stupid opinions that they're all assholes, because they don't take shit, and they're not necessarily courteous with the people that they're debating, who are also not courteous to them. They're also as condescending as you are. I'm like the basketball fan who only knows LeBron. You see, that sums you up pretty much, and at least you're honest about it. Although, really, I think they're trying to be ironic, but you wouldn't know if irony if it was sung to you by Alanis Morissette. That means arrogant condescension has become the default tone. We're attracted to people, not because they make compelling arguments, but because they're loud and abrasive. That's what we think someone who espouses our beliefs should sound like. But that's like letting PETA represent all vegetarians or the Antvork represent all music. Firstly, fuck off, the Antvork's a good band. So what you're doing here is you're basically projecting your own dislikes and likes onto us in an effort to somehow say that this is why atheism is bad. Or at least hurting itself, when atheism has never been stronger and it's only going to increase. Firstly, people don't watch The Amazing Atheist just because he happens to have an arrogant persona. People watch it because of his arguments. Like he said, there are some videos that he's had that have like 1 million views, and that's not his fans. That's other people who have heard this video and agree with him or disagree with him. But it shows that these people don't just see his persona and assume I like this guy because he's a prick. No, that's nothing. That's your stupid nice guy mangina beta male type of personality coming into play there. Nobody likes them because they're arseholes. They like them because they have merit to their arguments and they're intelligent people. Here comes number 4 on the list. It's become tied to awful ideas. Oh boy. I don't mean to pick on The Amazing Atheist, but the need to defend himself and feminist critiques didn't come out of nowhere like the knife-wielding clown that snuck up behind you as you read this. Here he is arguing that sexual objectification doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. And here he is again making fun of feminist cartoons, while the point of them flies so far over his head it strikes a passing 747. Right. No, I'm sorry. I think the point missed you and hit that 747. Amazing Atheist is on point. I've seen those videos. He links them. It's funny, all his links are just complete bullshit. He misses the point. They prove the opposite of what he's wanting to prove. And so far he's coming across as, well, what can I say? A condescending, ignorant prick. That's his words, not me. But wait, you say, why is someone called The Amazing Atheist talking about feminism? That's like a columnist on a comedy site writing about religion. What kind of idiot does that? You do realise that people like George Carlin are comedians and took the piss out of religion? And comedians can write about religion? Are you stupid? Because I think you are. The reason why The Amazing Atheist has got stick is because he's debated their points and their views and their arguments, and they don't like that. Feminists don't like criticism. That's why he's getting it. It's not because he's sexist. It's not because he's The Amazing Atheist, or some of it is. That's the nature of the internet and trolls. But because he disagrees with them. People like you. That hurt, hypothetical reader. But you know what else hurts? It didn't hurt him. Look at his video, it clearly didn't hurt him. The fact that this isn't an isolated problem, as Alternet points out. Alternet. The absolute paradigm of knowledge. Atheism has become as bad at talking to girls as the boys at a junior high dance. No, it hasn't. How? Atheism isn't this thing that talks to girls. A movement that's supposed to be about rational thinking has fallen into the same vagina emotions, make chicks a bunch of crazy broads, trap as your friend who got into the pickup community and reeks like an axe factory. No, it hasn't. In fact, the complete opposite happened. It was infested by feminists who then projected what you're talking about onto us. No, it wasn't people who aren't feminists that have infested it. And no, atheism is nothing like that. No, I've never met any atheist who thinks all women are crazy broads. That's bullshit. More straw men and more misrepresentation of the facts. You can't claim to be a proponent of science and reasonable thinking, only to regress to hacky sitcom stereotypes about women being humorless harpies who bring sexual assault upon themselves. Nobody said that. No one in the atheist community has said that. Name me one person who has said that. No one has said that. No one has said that. Amazing Atheist didn't say that. Richard Dawkins didn't say it. Hitchens didn't say it. In fact, I know what you're referring to. You're referring to his article about women not being funny. He didn't mean that they were not funny. You took it out of context, as you social justice warriors usually do. That's like complaining that no one will take your obvious soccer skills seriously just because you occasionally punch opposing players and pick up the ball. No! Again, your similes are fucking shite. That is nothing like that. Spreading your beliefs and insulting half the Earth's population are contradictory goals. Look in the mirror. One of the reasons Christianity took off is that Jesus rarely gave sermons about how it's important to love thy neighbour, unless they're some crazy hoe, in which case you just have to put up with them until they're off the rag. Am I right, biblical men? If you want to attract people to your worldview, you have to make it look attractive. No, you be logical, reasonable, and not an arsehole, which you're not being. And the reason why Christianity spread, and why Islam spread, and why all religions spread, was because of violence and of coercion. You do realise that the only reason why there is Christianity in northern Germany, Poland, etc. is because the Crusaders went in there and killed the pagans and forced them to convert. And the same thing happened in Spain with the Muslims and the Christians, and vice versa. Once the Christians got their land back, you were either forced to leave your homes or you convert. And that's what's happened to the Jews in England in the 1300s. Edward III owed them a lot of money, so he kicked them out. Or if they did not convert, they were kicked out. Doesn't matter. I could go on. And no, what you just described is not. I've not heard a single atheist say that, and if they have, they are incredibly stupid. But again, he's not shown any evidence, and all his evidence just shoot him in the foot because the context is nothing like what he says it is. But the typical social justice warrior is not going to look at his evidence, are they? BuzzFeed. As a reminder that they occasionally engage in journalism that goes beyond telling you what Game of Thrones character your toaster would be, did an excellent piece on how women who want to engage in the community of skeptics find themselves targets of sexual harassment. Ah, yes, BuzzFeed! That lovely, lovely, unbiased towards genders website that is BuzzFeed. Not that feminist-infested shithole, is it? And I'm sure it was such an excellent piece. No, I'm sure it wasn't written by some Atheism Plus member now, was it? When one woman politely pointed out that it wasn't the greatest idea to hit on her at 4 a.m. in the hotel elevator in a foreign country, Richard Dawkins ripped into her and someone sent her a drawing of her being raped. Okay, alright. Stop right there. Are you talking about Rebecca Watson? The same Rebecca Watson who was asked to have a drink of coffee by the man in his room or her room to talk about stuff because he was interested in what she had to say. I mean, why would he be interested in what she looked like? Have you seen what Rebecca Watson looks like? Seriously, she lied about that. She was not harassed. He asked her for coffee. If asking someone for a cup of coffee at 4 a.m. in the morning is sexual harassment, no wonder Richard Dawkins ripped into her, because she's a moron! And so are you for believing that stupid woman. God! These people call themselves free thinkers. You couldn't find a better example of irony if you dedicated your life to it. Like I said, you wouldn't know what irony was if Alanis Morissette sang it to you and also sang the dictionary definition. You are an idiot. If you're an atheist, you're a fucking terrible one. Like I said, you're a faitheist. Your faith is feminism and social justice, not atheism. If you were a proper atheist, you won't be writing this shite. But then again, you're on crap.com. This is probably just fucking clickbait, after all. Then there are other issues like Islamophobia and unfair criticisms of people who still wear white after Labour Day. I've not heard anyone criticise people for wearing white after Labour Day. I've seen people criticise Islam, and that's perfectly fine. Islam's not a race. It's a religion that has a set of ideas. It's an ideology. Anyone can discredit it. Anyone can criticise it. Because it's an ideology. It's not a race. Islamophobia is bullshit. Blatant attacks and insults disguised as expressions of free thought aren't accomplishing anything beyond scaring people away from organised atheism. Atheism is not organised. We do not have a hierarchy. We do not have a pope. We are like Gamergate. We are leaderless. We have no structure. We are not like religion. Stop trying to make us look like a religion, because we're not. What are you on about? And show us an example of this fucking blatant attacks and insults. Come on, because you've given us no examples whatsoever. Everything has been bullshit so far. And here it goes to number 3. There's an arrogance to it. Well, pot, meet the kettle. Because the only person being arrogant here is you. Let me tell you an old joke. How do you tell if someone's an atheist? Don't worry, they'll let you know. Right. You can say the exact same thing about Christians and Muslims. It's funny if I say it in my patented wacky German accent, but whatever. That's not comedy. That's not even a joke. There's no punchline to it. You've probably heard a variation of it featuring another vocal minority like vegans or people who think the following isn't terrible. Whether it's fair or not, atheists and people who insist on drinking cruelty-free soy milk, the soy died of natural causes, this isn't funny. I've developed a reputation for being passionate about their beliefs. I love the sarcasm then that he put in italics. I concluded I was an atheist in junior high school. Oh, an atheist. And like every other junior high student in history, I was insufferable. Oh, yeah, you were insufferable. But we aren't. Just because you're insufferable doesn't mean that all atheists are insufferable too. See, if it's anything, the only people that are hurting atheists, if they're hurting them at all, it's you. I wasn't vocal about it because I was listening to moody music and brood about how people don't understand me kind of insufferable. But I definitely thought that religious people were all ignorant. Well, most of them are. How could people not see that institutions have existed for millennia, have become firmly entrenched in our cultural consciousness, and have offered them spiritual comfort? A strong social outlet and charitable assistance in the darkest hours are based on a myth. More like a sheeple, am I right? No, the only people who use sheeple are you, not us. Atheists don't use sheeple, as far as I'm aware. And what the fuck? You're projecting onto us. You're projecting your arrogance and your insufferableness. Is that a word? Insufferableness onto us. Not the other way around. In fact, it's funny. It's the only person that's bleating social justice dogma and, funnily enough, anti-atheist propaganda is you. I've never heard an atheist sound so religious in my life. I grew out of that, as evidenced by the fact that I had to take a long cold shower after using the word sheeple, even after dousing it in enough irony to power a British sitcom. You do realise not all British sitcoms use irony. You clearly have not read you've not seen one. You've clearly not. But some atheists still think they know everything. Who? Nobody has said that. No atheist has ever said they know everything. You have been suggesting that. You seem to think you know everything about us. They're a minority, sure. But they're a minority that controls the conversation. No, they're not. We kick them out. They're called Atheism Plus. Because they're more invested in proving themselves right. Someone who's more open to other beliefs isn't going to seek out debates and make provocative statements. They'd rather shrug their shoulders and get back to watching Adventure Time. No, that's you, not us. One of my favourite guilty pleasures is looking at bombastic quotes from dating profiles paired with less than flattering profile pictures. I can get away with it, because I look like a meth head, and girls get confused when I go on 3-paragraph tangents about Blade Runner. And you're saying that we atheists can't talk to girls? Projection. But when you say things like, I use religion as a litmus test for morons, or only the unintelligent and weak-minded need an imaginary friend in their lives, you're not coming across as a suave, free-thinking individual. You're exactly as close-minded as the gay-hating, Bible-thumping, fundamentalist stereotype you set up to knock down. Yet again, more straw men and more made-up bullshit, because if you can't do anything but make shit up to justify an argument like that. The idea of casually, insultingly dismissing other beliefs goes against the very nature of sceptical thinking, because you need to be open to other ideas and sceptical of your own. Unfortunately, it's becoming the basis of atheism because the loudest voices don't want to have real discussions. They want to score zingers and win arguments. At the risk of sounding like an after-school special, there are no winners in that environment. Yes, and we kicked them out. They're called Atheism Plus. It's funny because the only person who isn't sceptical of their own ideas is you. Anyway, let's move on to page 2. I can't believe this guy actually had 2 pages of shite to get through. Number 2. It's becoming too defensive. Okay? There's a kernel of truth to that joke I told you. We all have that one friend who refuses to eat at a restaurant because the napkins are only made of 95% recycled cardboard instead of 99%. Also, atheists have a tendency to insert themselves into conversations where they aren't invited or even relevant. Really? That's funny because that's what you social justice warriors do. Not atheists. Atheists tend to stick to themselves on YouTube. Here's someone talking about how they were randomly accused of being the religious equivalent of a Nazi collaborator. So, not Jewish? What's that got to do with an atheist person butting into an argument that he's not a part of? What the fuck? Meanwhile, BuzzFeed pointed out that organised atheism has always been again, atheism is not organised. Has always been a boys' club because it tends to draw from geeky traditional male. Here we go. You see, before I even finish it, I just know what this argument's all about. This is someone who's part of Atheism Plus, free thought blogs user, I reckon, who wants to shit on the rest of our community because, you know, they're a good feminist and a good mangina and want to do good for the cause, you know. This is a hit piece. This is a hit piece for feminism and social justice. This is a Faitheist piece. Traditionally male subcultures like sci-fi and gaming. Sci-fi and gaming have always been for everyone. Yes, at one point there was more men than women, and probably there is, but there's a hell of a lot of women in it, and you're doing them a disservice. Oh, and as far as I'm aware, there's as equal number of women as men that are atheists. It's not a boys' club, and it never has been. Just because a community may have more men than women doesn't mean it's a boys' club. Nobody ever says that when there's more women than men. Nobody ever says that about hairdressing courses at university, do they? Nobody says that's an old girls' club, do they? Nobody ever says that, because that would be sexist, wouldn't it? If you spend a lot of your formative years getting into religious debates on the internet, you might not have the most robust social life. Again, he's making these horrible fucking generalisations that are they are insulting. They are stereotypes. He's basically hating on nerds. This guy is clearly just the jock from high school who's found a job as a journalist somehow and decided to shit on the nerds because it's in vogue recently, isn't it? There's nothing inherently wrong with that, as my MMO characters could tell you if I hadn't since locked them away behind the digital equivalent of a brick wall in the wine cellar. You're not a gamer then, clearly. Otherwise you would not be saying that people who play MMOs or games don't have a social life. I have a social life. I have a fuck buddy. What do you have? As far as I'm aware, you don't seem to get a lot of action, that's why you're attacking us for not having action. That's what I get from you. Now, I'm not trying desperately not to judge you, but judging by the amount of projection that you've been forcing onto me, I'm not surprised if that's true. But from there, it becomes easy to make your beliefs a large part of your identity. Look in the mirror. Once you do that, you begin to see any challenges to your beliefs as a challenge to you personally. See, that's funny because atheists don't do that, at least sane ones. People like you, Faitheists, and religious people, feminists, social justice warriors, that's what you do, not what we do, not what sane people do. They're not criticising a sprawling abstract concept, they're criticising you as a human being. You've just had full paragraphs doing nothing but criticising people as human beings. Why would you call the amazing atheist and Richard Dawkins arseholes? What's that? Because that's not a debate. That's not telling us that we're hurting ourselves. If anything, we're stronger for kicking you people out. Again, there's an irony in calling yourself a free thinker, yet being so insecure in your beliefs that you lash out at anyone who disagrees with you. That's you! Stop projecting. And again, please, look up the dictionary definition of irony. You clearly don't know what it is. If you're so confident that you're right, why do you need to shove your beliefs into the faces of people you're never going to sway? Hello? Nobody's trying to do that. We know we're not going to change the most ardent creationist. All we do, and what I do, is I lay my argument there. I say, here are the facts. Look at them. Think about it. I don't think I'll be able to change your mind, but if you do it for yourself, hopefully, I can at least start a spark going to quote The Amazing Atheist, paraphrasing of course. That's what he said. We know we're not going to change them like that, we're not going to convert them, but we can point them towards the correct path. That's all we can do. It's the religious people that convert us and try to force us to believe in God, not the atheists. It's like how I don't go out of my way to talk about my incredible sexual magnetism. I know it speaks for itself. Fuck off. I shouldn't have said that, but look, I'm finding it hard not to keep my cool. This guy's insufferable, funnily enough. There are some people who are perfectly secure in their beliefs, he says, and just enjoy arguing on the internet. But being an argumentative arsehole isn't really an improvement. If you want to propagate your views, let your calm, reasonable thinking do your work for you. Because if your go-to approach is to deliver petty insults and snide jokes, you're not going to have much luck convincing people you're on the side of rational thought. Again, that's what you've been doing. You have missed the point, and it's hit the proverbial 747 that you just said, and you clearly don't know what irony is. I could say that you're the quintessential American who doesn't know what irony is, but I won't, because I know that all Americans know what irony is, they just use it differently to everyone else. Number 1. It's focused on the wrong goals. Wow. Really? Add up all of the above and you have atheists with no goals beyond taking pot shots at religion in the hopes that one day all organised belief will collapse and society will recognise them as the underappreciated forefathers of rational thinking. That's what you've been doing. You've been taking pot shots at atheists in the hope that your bullshit version of it, Faitheism, will be the underappreciated forefathers of rational thinking. Now, I'm a professional writer, so I understand the desire to achieve maximum recognition for minimum work. If this is minimum work, wow, I'm surprised. This is anything but minimum work. This is boring, lazy journalism at its... In fact, is it even journalism? No, it's hack writing. That's what it is. This is bullshit. You're a journalist? You're a writer? Right. But outside of a lot of vague talk of social and scientific progress, organised atheism doesn't seem to have any objectives beyond trying to make our religious friends skip church and unwind with a couple of mimosas. Most religious people do skip church. We don't need to do it for them. Case in point, 800,000 people in Britain have gone to church last year. Most people who are considered Christians aren't actually religious. They're Christian on paper only. On the registry, they're not actually religious. We don't have to do anything. Sure, we'll debate Christians and Muslims and Jews. We'll do that. But we don't actually have to do anything. They do it for us. But people like you are the ones that are hurting us. There's a reason why social justice warrior atheists and feminist atheists had to go. Or at least most of them. Because you are toxic. You nearly destroyed the YouTube community and the internet community of atheists. You nearly destroyed it. And yet here you are wondering why we don't like you. And yet you're writing this bullshit. But drawing a line in the sand with atheism and progress on one side and religion and reactionary thinking on the other dumbs down history so much that Bill and Ted would object. No, it wouldn't. That's a generalisation. Again, plenty of great minds have been religious. So what? We don't care that they were religious. That's exactly what a fucking religious person would say. We don't care that they were religious. That still doesn't mean God existed. And that still doesn't mean that atheists are arseholes and hurting themselves and that we don't have goals. Most atheists don't have goals because they just are atheists and want to live their lives the way they want to. Some atheists have goals about ending religion. They're anti-theists. I am a sort of anti-theist myself. I do want to see religion gone. But I'm not going to force people to be atheists. Because I know that I'm not going to force them to change their very being, what they've been taught to think since they were little. You just have to wait for them to find it out themselves, if they ever do. And if they don't, they don't. I am absolutely fine with that. I'm fine with people being religious. I don't like religion, but I still like most of the people in it. And while I haven't conducted a formal poll on the religious beliefs of people who are, say, fighting for gay marriage rights, I'm willing to bet you'd find a broad spectrum. No shit. Stop trying to defend religion. You clearly are not an atheist, and if you are one of the faitheists over at Atheism Plus. Now, someone's already run off to the comments to point out that opposition to gay marriage is primarily based on religious beliefs, and that's the problem. We're keeping score in terms of believers versus non-believers, when the marquee matchup should be terrible people versus good people. But I'm sorry, but when the overwhelming majority of homophobic people are religious, and believe me when I say this, I don't think I've met a homophobic atheist. I'm not saying that they don't exist, they probably do, but this isn't necessarily down to terrible people versus good people. The overwhelming majority of people who are homophobic are religious, because it's what their dogma tells them. An atheist doesn't have dogma behind them telling them to hate gay people, do they? Again, you're oversimplifying everything, you're overgeneralizing, you're misrepresenting the facts, you are creating straw men, you are making stuff up, and you need to stop, you need to leave, you need to stop being a writer because you're terrible at it. I'm sorry, I hate to sound like you, but it's the truth. Now he carries on and he says, if you're willing to fight for a good cause by expending money or time in a world where we're constantly strapped for both, you can worship Azeroth for all the fucks I'd give. And I don't give a fuck about that either. Sooner or later, good people win every battle. No, they don't. They don't. They don't. That's not true. But the few leaders atheism have become famous. It should be have, not has. You call yourself a professional writer. Never mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my grammar's shit. Still doesn't matter. They become famous for not making scientific discoveries or fighting for social. What? Richard Dawkins? Stephen Hawking? Christopher Hitchens? The list goes on. How dare you lie about that? How dare you lie that they've not made scientific discoveries or fighting for social change, without arguing about the accomplishments of people of all beliefs who quietly made real advances? Fuck you. That's an absolute disservice to the true... I can't even continue. I am completely speechless. That is a smack in the face of all the atheists that have helped these people, that have made discoveries, and most of the leaders have done something good. They may not necessarily have done something massive, but you don't need to do something big to be a leader. These people are not riding on the coattails. You're the one who's riding on the coattails. Atheism has become synonymous with pointless arguments. No! You have become synonymous with a pointless argument, not us, which prevents otherwise interested people from taking it seriously and prevents proponents from growing as human beings. Fuck off! You're the ones with your bullshit social justice warrior ideology and your feminism that is stopping you guys from growing, because we all know, as you've seen in the Young Turks, that social justice is such a rotting influence that it makes black people argue for segregation. If you don't believe me, go and look it up. So if you're ever tempted to engage in religious argument, you know it will be pointless. Stifle it and go do something great with your time. No, I will not stifle argument. That's something that you guys do, not us. Once you're rich and famous, you can casually mention your beliefs if Time magazine interviews you, and then you'll be making a difference. No, I won't. I'll be just saying I'm an atheist. That's not making a difference. Oh, and by the way, I have a little bone to pick with you saying that we're too arrogant and too condescending and too out there and in your face. Well, I'm going to assume that you are American, and you know full well that the vast majority of people are religious in America, and you know that a lot of them are crazy ideologues and very, very devout. And some of these people will have children, or they will have husbands and wives, or uncles, or anything, who are atheists, but are too afraid to tell them that they are atheists. That they cannot argue with these people because they are so religious that to do so could possibly mean that they are forced out of the family, they are disowned. People like the amazing atheist and Richard Dawkins and before he died, Christopher Hitchens, they are the voice for that little kid who's an atheist, but who can't express his atheism, who can't express his ideas because he has no voice, because there are people putting him down, or he is too afraid to speak because of what might happen, the reaction. And I don't want to put myself on the pedestal, I don't want to say this, but to a lesser extent, what I tried to do, by the very definition of being a YouTuber and sometimes doing videos on atheism, is that we want to be their voice. We want to help these people to express themselves, to show them that it's okay to be an atheist, that it's okay to tell your parents and your families and your friends, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what they believe, because it's all about inside you. How dare you say that we're condescending pricks and in your face when there are people like that who cannot talk for themselves, who have no voice? And so I leave you with the parting words of go fuck yourself, because people like you are the ones that stifle argument, who are overwhelmingly prejudiced towards atheists and religious people and geeks and men and women. It's you who is hurting the atheist community and hurting the religious community and hurting everyone who isn't even a part of them. It is you. But you'll never know it's you because you're blind. This has been Charming Man 93. Like and share the video, drop a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later. I'm gonna calm down.